With 23 years of public service, and he's entered the race for U.S. Senate to protect the liberties and prosperity of every American citizen. Cass was born in Brady, Texas, and graduated from Brady High School. He has attained 2 associate's degrees and a bachelor's degree in social psychology. He is currently completing his graduate degree in public administration. Andrew joined the Air Force in 1988 as a mental health technician and retired in 2008 as a certified drug and alcohol abuse counselor. He currently works as a licensed chemical dependency counselor for a nonprofit agency in Brownwood, Texas, and they provide substance abuse services to 7 counties. He is also a prevention specialist, providing substance abuse prevention training in local high schools. Andrew is married to his wife Diana for the past 21 years and has 6 children whose ages range from 24 to 7. He has held numerous positions of leadership, management, and is a member of multiple organizations ranging from the Veterans of Foreign Wars to the Texas State Rifle Association. Please welcome Andrew Castenuela.
Thank you. I gotta take a minute and look at that picture you had on top. That gentleman with the hat. Is there a similarity? I don't know about that. I'm probably a little heavier than he is. But anyway, my name is Andrew Castenuela. I am from Brady, Texas, born and raised in 5th generation Texas, running for the United States Senate under one conspicuous process only, and that is because I believe deep in my heart in defending the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, but when you've done it for 20 years, you understand what that means and you believe it, and that's exactly why I'm in this race. I won't talk more in detail because I know we've got a question and answer session going on, but I'll be afterwards. If you ask me any question you want, I'm going to be honest with you. If you go to my website, you'll see it. It says I shoot from the hip, and I'm going to tell you like it is. And some of the things I say may not be popular, but I'm not in a popularity contest. I'm in a race to try to win the United States Senate to do what is right. Thank you.
Okay, we have a set of 5 questions that we've asked all of our candidates to respond to. So I'll be reading the questions and he will answer them each one. First, on the subject of national sovereignty. The USA seems to be losing our national sovereignty as we are more frequently seek approval from the United Nations. Many refer to our surrender of our national sovereignty to the UN as a significant step toward the establishment of a one-world order. How can we continue to be a part of the UN and not lose our national sovereignty?
Excellent question. Although I sound like Ted Cruz when I say that, but I'm not. In response to the question, number 1 is that I think most people maybe have done some research on the one world order. Who has? Please raise your hand. Thank you. Because you're doing your homework. You're understanding how this process really works. You know, I was talking to an individual earlier. We were talking specifically about, Congress, and we were talking about Republicans and Democrats and the president and so forth. And, I take a step back and I say, well, hold on. Let's be very wise about what's going on here, okay? And the reality is that regardless who the Republican or Democrat is in Congress or in the presidency, they're going to work hand in hand to a great degree. Okay, so when we're talking about national sovereignty, we're talking about our ability to defend what we think is right. And what do we think is right? The Constitution of the United States. That is the law of the land. That is what guides us, our principles. That is why people even want to come to the United States. They want those opportunities. Now, we have a conflict of interest. And the conflict of interest lies with the United Nations. Now, after World War II, yes, it was probably possible to have this organization because we were trying to control the Soviet Union. Thank you, Choo-Choo. He agreed, by the way. We were trying to control the Soviet Union expansion. Okay? At that point, it probably helped to organize our nations under one form of belief that what we need to do to govern ourselves as one world people, so to speak. But it has exhausted its means. We pay way too much money to the United Nations, and they are trying to control too many of our constitutional rights. Now, in reference to Libya specifically, there's been the big debate about the president exercising his war powers without the secret of Congress. Now, had George Bush done that, they would have fried him like a steak. Yet he did go to Congress and he did ask them. He said, I ain't going to go to war. I need your approval. And they gave it to him, Democrats and Republicans. And that's the way the process works. Whenever we have an executive president who decides to go around the Constitution, he's pretty much, if I use our Texas terms, he's urinated on my leg and telling me it's raining. And that's not who I am. And that's not who we are. By the way, I cleaned it up, by the way. You know, Congressman Burgess is here. You elected him. You elected him to do a job. And it's his job to make sure the president does his job. And if the president doesn't come to Congressman Burgess and say, I want to go to Libya, I want to go to Iraq, or I need more funding for Afghanistan, then he don't do those things and around it, he goes about it, and violates the Constitution, what do we have? Anarchy. What would I be doing? I'm probably looking at getting charges of impeachment. Because you cannot violate the Constitution of the United States unilaterally. And that's what we need to take our United Nations perspective. He has pretty much hurt a lot of our friends and our allies, especially when he pulled the missiles out of Europe. You know what? I'm going to tell you right now, Russia, China, North Korea, and others are still a threat to us. And we need to sustain our deterrent effect. And we need to make our nuclear weapons as a deterrent agency. And expand it, you know, by getting rid of NASA, the one frontier where we can have an advantage of, strategically. I mean, Ronald Reagan was talking about Star Wars. And you think about it, imagine a satellite sitting up in space saying, hey, look, you want to mess with us? I got something for you that you can't track because it's too late. We need to get back to some of the basics. So in reference to our United Nations, we need to withdraw action from the United Nations. Just have a representative if they feel like they need to say something to us. You know, that could be, God help us, Hillary Clinton. Go and say, hey, look, all right, this is what they're saying and so forth. But report back to the Congress and let them decide how to govern our country. Thank you.
Okay, on the subject of immigration, the U.S. has a long history of welcoming immigrants from all over the world. However, because of the size of our nation and the complexity of our borders, it is very difficult to prevent illegal immigration. Do you consider illegal immigration to be a significant issue today? And if so, how would you attempt to solve it?
I laugh because guess why? I'm Mexican. I'm really American, but ethnicity, my family goes back to Mexico. Actually, if you want to go back, we go back to Madrid, Spain. But here's what I say in reference to that. I'm a fifth generation Texan. It means my family was either from Brady, Texas, Melbourne, Texas, or Rock Springs, Texas, and we go way back. So, and when you look at Texas culture and Texas history, you understand that the Hispanic and more specifically the Mexican population and the Anglo population are like this. We founded this great state. We stood for principles that we held together. And even to this day, to be honest with you, and I'm going to more specifically, when I talk about Hispanics, I'm going to focus more on the Mexican ethnicity population, is that we still believe that today. But that does not mean that we don't think something needs to be done with immigration. I can go and talk to a lot of my Mexican friends, and they're going to say the same thing I am. Something needs to be done. But here's the key. Be very careful how you address this issue. A study was just released, and when they studied to say what was the #1 issue that turned the Hispanic population, regardless of what their political affiliation was, what was the one issue that would make them turn on a candidate, and it would be immigration. Now, here's my proposal. #1, I'll tell you what I'm not for. I am not for amnesty. And the reason I'm not for amnesty is because it's not fair. There are many people who went through the legal process to get here in the United States. And it's going back to my urination process. That's what we're doing to these individuals when they came to the States. I do not support the DREAM Act. And I'll tell you why. I have 2 kids I'm putting through college. And it's difficult for me to support the DREAM Act knowing that somebody who's here illegally is going to pay in-state tuition. While my daughter, who has been a citizen here in the United States, has to pay out-of-state tuition because she goes to Henderson State in Arkansas. although she's from Texas. That is not fair. There are parts of the DREAM Act that I do like. I do like the fact that somebody who serves for the country should have the process of getting their American citizenship. That makes sense. It'd be nice if everybody did that. I mean, the Israelis do it. But it'd be nice if everybody understood you cannot just accept liberty for what it is, you have to fight for it. In order to fight for it, you got to be ready to sacrifice for it. And sacrifice means you got to lay your life on the line. And if they're willing to do that, and they know they're not going to get anything in return until afterwards, I can see that. But as far as enforcing the border, we need to enforce the border because the drug cartels are eating us alive. But at the same time, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm in the drug and alcohol business. Which means you take a step back and you see how the drug trafficking process works. And I'm going to tell you, it's just not the cartel. I mean, we can go back to the Reagan days and the Iran-Contra affair. Our government is involved in the drug business. There's money in it, as well as war. We need to take a step back and say, all right, I propose to hire and enforce our borders by transferring $1 billion that's already in the Department of Homeland Security, from 500 from FEMA, 500 from TSA, to hire 20,000 more ICE agents. We put 10,000 on the border, north and south, and the other 10,000 in the metro area to support legislation. Part two, and this is where Congressman Burgess comes into play, and actually will help you a lot, to be honest with you. This is what the Hispanic population is looking for. We need to reform immigration. It's broke. It doesn't work. The process does not work for everybody. And I'll give you an example. For instance, somebody from Cuba comes to the United States, he or she, according to the 1966 Cuba Immigration Act, will automatically get citizenship in 1 year's entitlements. Yet somebody coming from Mexico has to go through the 10-year process, or somebody coming from Russia has to go through the 10-year process. There's quotas in place, and it specifically designate which ethnicities we want and which we don't want. That is not the American way. We need immigration reform that addresses it fairly, and the most important thing that we need to do is we need these people here paying into the system. And here's the process how you do that. We got 5 different types of work visas. All you need is one. You want to be in the States? You better work. You're going to work, you're going to pay. You're going to pay into the system. Now, you're not an American citizen, so that does not entitle you to the same benefits of every American. So as far as we're talking about education, we're talking about health care, these things you're not entitled to, I'm sorry. You can get health care at the local community health clinic that we fund, by the way, on a sliding scale fee. You can get that kind of service. If you want to get into education, put your kids in education, great, pay a fee. Because who pays for the education? Property owners. You live in an apartment or rental, you're not paying property tax. Property owners pay education. This process will ensure that everybody who's not paying into the system kind of pays a fee to get their kids in the system. The last thing is, and this is the key, assimilation. Which basically means it's our responsibility as American citizens to teach them and educate them what the Constitution of the United States is, what the laws of our land are, and how to abide by them. It's our responsibility. Because they're going to be our neighbors, they're going to be our employees. All we're trying to say, hey, look, we don't mind you being here. 1, do it legally. 2, understand our laws. And 3, abide by them. Thank you.
Okay, we only have about 4 minutes left, so I think we could only cover one more question. Would you like to talk about budget, size of government, or the right to bear arms?
I think we'll agree on the right to bear arms.
Okay, why don't you just tell us what you think about the right to bear arms?
In 4 minutes. 4 minutes.
I am open carry. Okay, I believe in open carry. I think it's a deterrent in itself. If I'm carrying my 45 right now, I'm guaranteed I'll probably look like a sheriff or a deputy or something like that. You're going to think twice about doing anything illegal. So just to put it bluntly, I am for open carry. I support the Second Amendment rights, and most importantly, it gives us the right to defend ourselves against the federal government itself. So if Congressman Burgess wanted to turn on us, I got a right to defend myself against my government, so to speak. I do want to hit the budget real quick, though, to be honest with you. I was frustrated with the debt ceiling proposal, or the compromise. And I said this in Houston this past Saturday. You can compromise on principle, but you cannot compromise your values. Your values are who you are and what you are. We were at the point that we had them at their knees. And the thing is, we need to make drastic changes in our system, in our spending. And it wasn't going to happen until we took the checkbook away. And that was our opportunity to take the checkbook away. It would have been very drastic, don't get me wrong, but I'm sorry. You don't get to heaven without some sacrifice. You got to pay your way. You are not going to get your prosperity without some sacrifice. Your business did not make millions of dollars or $100,000 without some sacrifice. And I'm sorry, we're at that point. Whether we like it or not, we're going to have to take a hit in the gut. And entitlements is going to have to be cut. And people are not going to have insurance. You know, when Medicaid pays for 800,000 abortions in 2007, something's got to be done. You know, we start getting taken up these out, get people off the welfare and to the point of saying, hey, look, let me drug test you if you're going to be on welfare, because 90% of my clientele is on CPS, parole, and probation. And they lose their kids because they don't want to stop using drugs. Drug testing. You know, your drug test, come up dirty, I'm sorry, you lost your benefits. And the health care is already there. To be honest with you, this is what many repeal that health care because automatically it'll cut down on our budget, or our deficit, I should say. But health care is already there. We fund community health centers. And they work on a sliding scale fee. I do it every day. So they don't have insurance, don't have money. Hey, go to this clinic, show them how much you make. If you don't make anything, let them know. And they work on a sliding scale fee. When I grew up, we didn't have insurance. My mom and my dad took me to the doctor. We paid the doctor on payments, but we paid the doctor. You want quality health care? Put money back in the doctor's hands and say, look, I'm the best doctor in the world because I can charge whatever I want. And you have quality health care. When you regulate health care, all you have is what we did in the service under TRICARE, and that's regulation of health care. How many people are populated in our panel? How many people do I pay for each visit? Thank you. I do have a sign-up sheet in case you want to volunteer for our program. I'll stay and answer any questions in CastperCenter.com if you have any other questions. God bless and take care.